Hello and welcome to Binge Watch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Woman and Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwan, writer on TV and Satellite Week, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. And today we're looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday the 28th of June 2024, including I Am Celine Dion on Prime Video and Hugh Bonneville in Douglas is Cancelled on ITVX.
And we'll also be checking out Desperate Housewives star Eva Longoria in Apple TV's comedy drama Land of Women, and getting ready for Glasto, courtesy of BBC iPlayer. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Helena Bonham Carter and Martin Freeman will star in a Netflix adaptation of the Agatha Christie classic The Seven Dials Mystery. What else is in the news, Hannah?
Prime Video's Young Sherlock, directed by Guy Ritchie, will see Hero finds Tiffin play a teenage incarnation of the detective who tackles his first case at Oxford University, no less.
Lovely stuff. Well, quite a bit of music in the mix in this week's pod, but we're going to start off on ITV1 and ITVX with a new series arriving on Thursday the 27th of June. It's called Douglas is Cancelled. And here's a clip.
There's been a tweet.
What tweet?
Overheard presenter Douglas Bellows making an extremely sexist joke at a wedding.
Dad, what was the joke at the wedding?
I don't remember. It was probably just one of your usual ones, yeah?
My usual ones.
Your usual misogynist ones.
It was sexist, not misogynist.
This isn't news. It's going to be news. It's you.
Cancel culture, Hannah. That old chestnut. So this is written by Steven Moffat, who's written lots of good stuff, including quite a bit of Doctor Who and Sherlock. And it stars, yes, Hugh Bonneville from Downton Abbey. And he is playing a veteran broadcaster, Douglas Bellows. And he hosts the news show Live at 6 with a younger co-presenter, Madeleine Crowe. And she's played by Karen Gillan, who, of course, was in Doctor Who, famously. It reminded me a little bit of This Time with Alan Partridge in some ways. But anyway, the setup is that on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, someone posts that Douglas has been overheard at a wedding making a sexist joke. Okay, so that's the jumping off point. And then his co-presenter sort of responds to this and retweets it, which means it goes quite viral. Now, I had kind of mixed feelings about this, I must be honest. First of all, Hugh Bonneville, he's played this sort of character so many times, it's getting quite boring. It's kind of the patrician, middle-class professional who's slightly kind of confused by the modern world and the younger generation. He's quite befuddled. And this is, yeah, he's doing this quite well-worn territory. I mean, being a Steven Moffat script, there's a lot of funny stuff in it, that's for sure. I particularly enjoyed Simon Russell Beale, the renowned theatre actor. He's very funny as Douglas's agent, who he meets in a restaurant to discuss tactics. But I felt there was quite a lot of sort of punching down in the humour of this series, because it seems to be very much about how snowflakey the younger generation are, and they're just too sensitive all the time, and they're always complaining about microaggressions and, you know, this, that and the other. You're gaslighting me. So it kind of felt very much like someone middle-aged complaining about the younger generation a lot, which I didn't particularly like. But yeah, a lot of it is very funny, and particularly stuff about kind of the media and news coverage and social media. You've got Ben Miles as the TV producer. Alex Kingston plays Douglas's wife, who is a newspaper editor, quite a fearsome character. And then they've got a daughter who is a sort of example of this oversensitive snowflake generation. So yeah, I felt it was a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm honest. And also, I didn't believe that someone posting that someone had made a joke but not saying what the joke was would be like a career-threatening incident. But anyway, perhaps matters will unfold in a different way. I don't know. So there were things I enjoyed in episode 1, particularly Simon Russell Beale. He was hilarious. But I didn't really like this snowflake bashing tone that is quite relentless. What did you think, Hannah?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, although I do think people will quite like it because, as you say, and we laugh about this cancel culture, I think it's a moment in time, isn't it? And sort of you are going to engage a lot of people who feel quite cross about society and shifts in society, perhaps, and perhaps that's their target audience, and that's who they want. So I think it is funny in places, but it's a bit obvious, I think I'd say. And there's a cameo with Kate Garraway. She interviews at one stage, so they've kind of pulled out all the stops for the big celebrity names here. And I do like Kate, actually. I shouldn't say it like that. It sounded terrible, didn't it? I do like Kate. I like the fact she's got involved, I must admit. So it's that idea that somebody in the public eye is then having to be kind of interviewed and it's talked about. And I suppose they've taken bits of reality and run with it, but as you say, not really stuck to the actual reality of these things. So like you rightly say, the story wasn't leaked out. It was just he was overheard saying something, so therefore his job's in question. I'm not exactly sure that would be the case, but as you say, maybe it goes down a different path. But it's just things like that sort of attention to detail that I think is probably missing. But I do think it will probably appeal to a lot of people who feel like, that there isn't this voice. They're not allowed to say anything anymore. And of course, we see an uprising, a lot of these channels that feel that they can say what they want in freedom of speech. So I do think it will appeal.
Over on Prime Video, arriving on Tuesday, the 25th of June, we have a new music documentary called I Am Celine Dion, and here is a clip.
When your voice brings you joy. I get wings to fly. Ça va les garçons? Je t'aime. Bonjour. You're the best of yourself. Oh, I need my instrument. I'm
Celine? Celine.
911, what's your emergency?
Have been diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder, and I wasn't ready to say anything before.
This is just, I can't recommend watching it enough, actually. It's quite a sad watch. It had me in tears in places, so it probably should come with a warning. I've always been a fan of Celine Dion, and she's just, I always remember the amount of earnings she made when she did the Vegas residencies and stuff. She's absolute quality. She's got an incredible voice. And I don't know, she's sort of been part of all of our lives for a really long time, but I don't know that we knew that much about her particularly. I think we knew that her husband had sadly passed away, someone she calls in this documentary the love of her life, and her raising 2 small young children. But this is a documentary that it gives us a snapshot into her life now and who she is. And I came away from watching this feeling that I knew her so much better than I ever did before, and I liked her even more than I did before. So it was, on a basic level, just how incredible she is in terms of her vocal ability and how successful she is. But what this really focuses on a lot is that she has this absolutely life-changing illness called stiff person syndrome, SPS, and she was diagnosed with it in 2022, and it's very, very rare. It's a rare neurological disorder, and it causes this rigidity. I think that's how you say it, and these muscle spasms. And at one point, I think it's at least 7 minutes. It was hard to watch, of her having a seizure, really, and the ambulance crew around her. And she lets you into this very raw account of her life and living with it. And she explains what it does to her. So even her singing, and of course with her singing and her music, that was her outlet. And she can't do that, and she breaks down and she cries, and it's just so raw and so emotional. to see somebody, and she's, you know, her children are still very much young. She's single parenting. I'm sure she has lots of help, but actually she's close with her children. And yet there are times where she can't, she's rendered, you know, it's impossible for her to do anything. And she wants to talk about it. So you really, so not only do you kind of look back at her 25-year career, but you actually, I love, there's one part I love actually as a woman, I particularly love it. Going through her, she's got this kind of unit where she keeps all these clothes all set up on mannequins, and all the shoes that she's had, and just absolute, it's just a cavern of dreams basically, of these incredible Dior shoes, and it's just amazing. And she remembers all of it, and I think her gratitude and her, the thing she says, I miss the music, but I miss the people. I miss the people around me, those people that she was with all the time. She's just not with her. So these cameras are essentially following her day to day. You can see her focusing on her health. You see back through her career. And I don't know if you found this interesting here, but I did. Her kitchen. She has glass cabinets, and behind the glass cabinets you can see everything that's in them. I've never seen so much pasta, and I live with an Italian. Seriously, there is so much pasta, and she has these Sharpies, and they're all in colour order. She's so organised. Anyway, I digress. It's absolutely brilliant, and I urge you to watch it. Incredibly sad to see somebody struggling so much. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. And I'm not particularly a Celine Dion fan. I didn't really know much about her. Obviously, My Heart Will Go On from Titanic. I knew she was French-Canadian. And she's released a lot of material in French, a lot of albums in French. And yes, she did. She earned vast sums of money, wasn't she? She's one of the most successful recording artists. But I kind of like the fact that she's not kind of traditionally glam. You know, she got bullied quite a lot when she was growing up because of her appearance, and she's the queen of the power ballad, I guess, isn't she? But I guess music documentaries are getting a bit more confessional, like the Robbie Williams one where he talks a lot about his mental illness, but this takes it to another level. She absolutely strips herself bare. There's no vanity in it. She's appearing in front of the camera, you know, no makeup, and she, as you say, she's so upset by the loss of her voice, which was, you know, obviously so important to her creatively and as a person. She breaks down. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And yes, we kind of see one of the fits the stiff person syndrome gives her. So, yeah, and I think she married. There was a big age gap between her and her husband. They waited quite a long time to get together, and I think, you know, there were people around who disapproved. And yes, obviously she lost him, I think, to cancer. So we get some of the familiar tropes, like we see inside her amazing home. I mean, it is beautiful, isn't it? And she's got all this lovely artwork and incredible clothes. And yeah, as you say, kind of the warehouse with all the stage stuff. But this really is different. And you know, I ended up with a newfound respect for her, I must say, because this was a searingly honest account of a very, very difficult journey that she's been on, but also intercut with some amazing concert footage and recording studio footage. It just reminds you of her voice when it was, you know, working 100%. Wow, it was pretty much unmatchable. Talking of music, Hannah, well, you know what's coming up, don't you? Yes, it's Glastonbury, of course. I'm not going. That will be the proper coverage of that will kick off on Friday, the 28th of June. And it will, as usual, it will be all over the BBC, including masses of stuff on iPlayer. You won't miss anything, really. And I do admit, I like watching Glastonbury from the comfort of my sofa rather than in the baking hot sun in a tent. But anyway, so they're kind of going to get you in the mood this week with some rockumentaries about some of the headliners called My Glastonbury. So you've got Dua Lipa, Little Sims, and on Tuesday the 25th on BBC Two, you've got Coldplay.
I was at school and we were always doing exams when Glastonbury was on. So it just seemed ridiculously unfair that you could turn on the TV and there was all these people having an amazing time. you know, the year that Pulp stepped in and headlined, and I was 17 or 18. So it started to like become very magnetic.
Coldplay, of course, they've kind of become dubbed the house band of Glastonbury because they played it so many times. So you've got Chris Martin. He's a bit of a Marmite figure. I guess Coldplay are quite a Marmite band in a way. He's got a kind of strange way about him, isn't he? He's sort of saying, yeah, and Glastonbury is sort of a place where you can go, and if you're an accountant, you can feel happy about being an accountant. So he's quite odd. But I love Coldplay. I know it's not cool to do so, but I absolutely love Coldplay. They're brilliant live. They will be great at Glasgow. But yes, you can see, and it's the memories of how it all started for them at Glastonbury and how they got a sort of last minute call when someone dropped out. And on the back of that, they then the following year were offered a headline slot. And he's talking about the bands that he's seen that really inspired him at Glasgow, like Pulp. So yeah, it's good stuff if you're a music fan. And yeah, over the Glasgow weekends, well, you got some good stuff to enjoy. Dua Lipa, Dexys, Idols, PJ Harvey, yes, Paul Heaton from the beautiful South, Sugar Babes, Jungle, all presented by Lauren Laverne and friends. So yeah, get stuck in, wall-to-wall music. It's going to be fun. Hannah, have you been? Are you a fan?
No, I'm a fan from my sofa. I couldn't agree with you more. The idea of going there fills me with utter dread. I mean, although this weekend probably won't be wet and muddy, will it? Because the weather is pretty good. So maybe that's one blessed relief from it all. But just the idea of those toilets and everything else, just, oh, call me a snob, I'll take it. No. So yes, watching it from afar will be great. And there is a great lineup. I do like Coldplay. I watched the Sugar Babes at the Capitol Summertime Ball. It was great to see them back and singing again. They sang a lot of golden oldies. That's really good. So that'll get the crowd going. There is a real vibe there, isn't there? And I kind of know what you mean. Chris Martin is a kind of eclectic mix of people. Him being one of them, I suppose. But yeah, it will be absolutely great. All of the radio DJs are down there, aren't they? Just absolutely loving. Although of course they're glamping. I mean, I suppose if you're sort of helicoptered in and helicoptered out, I suppose it's all fine. But yeah, it'll be good fun. As I say, you won't be. I always remember before COVID times, have to say, coming back on the train and you knew they'd been to Glastonbury because they were still wearing that. They were caked in mud in their bags and their rucksacks. I'd look at them thinking, oh, there's no part of that I'd want to be a part of. None.
Good stuff. And I remember the first time I saw Janelle Monáe was watching Glasgow on the Beeb, and she just did this incredible set that absolutely blew me away. Anyway, that's enough of that. We're going to finish on Apple TV Plus with a new comedy drama series. Yes, another one arriving on Wednesday the 26th of June. It's called Land of Women, Hannah. And here's a clip.
My name is Gala Scott. Yesterday, my life was perfect. At least I thought it was. Wonder where Fred is. He should have been here by now.
Your husband running a little late, huh?
You friends of Fred's?
We're supposed to meet Fred here.
Oh, you're the caterers. How much do I owe you?
$15 million.
You have 24 hours. Then we've got to visit your daughter and then your mother.
Yep, so there are 6 episodes of this. I've seen the first episode, and so 2 episodes, 26th of June, and then weekly from there on in. And this stars Desperate Housewives star Eva Longoria, who I must say I'm a bit of a fan of. This does what it says on the tin. There's nothing hugely to get excited about from it. And I say this because we've talked about some quite great epic stuff, particularly around Celine Dion and that documentary. And I suppose this sitting next to it is kind of a hard juxtaposition in many ways, because it's lighter in some ways, but of course the content actually isn't so light, although it is a comedy drama. And it's a lovely, I mean, it's an amazing backdrop, because it's set in Spain, where Eva Longoria, she plays this New York socialite. They've got all the money in the world, lovely daughter, good-looking husband, but she finds out, while she's living her best life, that he actually owes money to gangsters, and she just needs to get out of town. She just needs to leave. So she takes her mum, Julia, and she takes her teen daughter Kate, out of the country to Spain, to this small Spanish town, which has its quirks. So they speak Spanish, but it wasn't difficult to keep up. There's loads of secrets that come out. I mean, it's fairly predictable. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. Bumbling hitmen, which if a hitman's got a gun up against you, that's supposed to be scary. This is a comedy drama. I repeat, a comedy drama, so it's not that scary. And it's just, I suppose, the fun side of this for me is the kind of the three generations of women and how they sort of really rub along at the beginning, not brilliantly well, and trying to find, all the nuances that come with that. Then towards the end, becoming, much, much closer. Of course, there's romance involved. Will she have her head turned while running away from these gangsters, and cross that her husband has put them in this position. So it's I liked it. I wouldn't say I didn't like it. I did like it. I thought it was really fun. It's definitely up my street. But I think it's quite hard in a week where we talk about something groundbreaking by like Celine Dion, but sort of very raw and emotional, to kind of talk about this in the same kind of podcast. But did find it enjoyable, and the backdrop's absolutely gorgeous. And yes, I'd quite like to get on a flight there now. What did you think, Ian?
Well, I wasn't expecting it to be my cup of tea, but I did like it. And yes, well-to-do woman suddenly gets shocking news and is threatened and has to disappear with her family in tow to somewhere new and strange. It's a familiar trope, isn't it, Hannah? And we just recently in Bay of Fires, we had the very same thing. So yeah, it starts off in New York, where Gala, Eva Longoria's character, she's very well-to-do, she's very glamorous. She's opening a wine shop. It's very relatable and having a big launch for it. And yes, things happen and they end up having to go to the town in Spain where her mum, Julia, grew up. And she is played by Carmen Maura, and she absolutely steals the show. She is hilarious. Great value. There's also the daughter, Kate, classic kind of sulky daughter, played by Victoria Bazua. They pick her up from boarding school and leg it. Of course, there's they have a meet cute. Of course they do, with a handsome tractor driving. I suppose it's a vineyard. He works in a vineyard co-op, I think. He's played by Santiago Cabrera. And of course, there's going to be some sparks there. And there's something rather unusual about this little town that you will find out. And of course, well, there may be links with the main character's knowledge of wine. I cannot say. But yes, Longoria looks immaculate from start to finish, and she's brought completely the wrong wardrobe for this new life. But yeah, she's looking very glam.
Yeah, the white outfit with the muck spreading wasn't great, was it?
Unannounced, they kind of move into this poor guy's house, claiming that half of it belongs to them because of various family issues. Anyway, it's just lovely escapist fun, and I particularly enjoy when they're arguing in Spanish. Arguments are better in Spanish, aren't they? They're more convincing. So yeah, I think there's plenty to enjoy about it, especially the mum is terrific, and we see flashbacks of the mum's life growing up in the village as well. So yeah, unexpectedly, I did like it. Now we've got to that stage, Hannah, that always comes around. We find out what you've been binge watching on this week.
Well, a few things. So I watched Fedra, which we discussed on Amazon Prime. And also, I've been enjoying Clarkson's Farm 3, which is brilliant. How about you?
I've been gearing up for the Tour de France, which starts this weekend, by watching the excellent sports documentary on Netflix. They do so many of these behind-the-scenes ones, don't they, in sport? Tour de France Unchained. Worth a look if you like cycling. Now, we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offering. So what's on the Binge Watch menu, Hannah?
Eddie Murphy is back in Beverly Hills Cop. Axel F., the fourth adventure in the LA cop action comedy film franchise, which is on Netflix.
Lovely. And Bill Pullman portrays double murderer Alex Murdaugh. Of course, there was a true crime documentary series about him, wasn't there? In the chilling true crime drama, The Murdaugh Murders, the movie. Oh, it's a bit of a mouthful. On Paramount Plus. So we look forward to those and much, much more. But in the meantime, listeners, watch it.